Hey guys, I'm Phil Harris.
And I'm Ashlee Harris.
We are Shred MX Conditioning, and we provide online fitness and nutrition coaching, as well as in-person riding clinics for riders and racers from local to pro.
Now, we're racers ourselves, so we'll be talking about all things moto on this channel, from motocross, fitness and nutrition, injury, prevention and maintenance, local races, amateur nationals, pro events, current happenings in the sport, and everything in between. So whether you're on the road or in the garage, turn it up and enjoy.
This is Shred MX Shop Talk. Hey guys, welcome back. We got episode 18 coming at you here. We're going to give you guys a little rundown of of how we sold our house, why we sold our house, why we're living in a motorhome now, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, talk a little bit about our adventures in doing so.
Yeah.
It's been a wild few months.
It has been a wild few months. Seems like a lot of back and forth, very unsettled, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, not in a bad way. It's a little bit overdue. I've been wanting to talk about this on one of our podcasts for probably a month now, but literally finding the time to sit down and do this is difficult because by the time we have some free time, it's like, man, I just want to, I don't want to be doing more work for Shred. I want to sit and chill, or like you want to play video games and I want to knit or crochet or whatever. So like, finding some time to do this in the past couple months has been a struggle, but glad we're doing it now.
Yeah. We, like you said, there was times that it's like, oh, we need to get this done, but it always seemed like when we would think about it was almost 9 o'clock at night or even later, and it's like, yeah, these usually end up, we try to make them shorter sometimes, but they never fail that they go like an hour or longer, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to sit there and do a podcast.
Till 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool. I mean, speaking of which, it's still, probably 8:30? It's not even 8 o'clock yet. 7:51. Yeah, I had it scheduled today. So just been a wild ride. So going back to the whole thought process behind selling our house. And we had been trying to sell our house for several months. Actually, when we got back from Loretta's last year was when we decided to list our house for sale. And we had a beautiful house. It was a 2-story, I think they consider it like a colonial.
Yeah, I believe so.
It was 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, like almost 2,000 square feet on a half an acre. Beautiful, beautiful house.
Yeah, 2-car garage. There's a little shed out back and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a very nice house.
It was a lot of house for the two of us, though, I will say.
Too much house.
Yeah, like we'd have people come over and be like, why do you need all of this house? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I wanted to try it for a bit. I don't know.
We'd have a couple people come over to do work on the house, and they'd be like, is it just you guys here?
Yeah, or people would be like, where are your parents? Like, that's us.
No, it's just us.
Yeah, it's us here. That was very funny living there. But yeah, so when we got back from Loretta's last year, we'd been talking about it for a while, but obviously we've been building the business together, and we're like, man, I really want to go, me personally, I want to go full time in on the business. And I know you provide a lot of support. Obviously, you're in a lot of our writing footage, the clips I use for marketing. You're a lot of the kind of the background, I would say. And I know you always say to me that you're like, well, I don't feel like I do enough for Shred. And it's the things that you're doing that you don't realize that are helping me out. Even just, keeping our bikes maintained so that when we get to go ride, like my stuff is ready to ride too, because yeah, I'm busy with the business, but you taking care of that side of it is also super helpful. So between both of us, we were looking for the time to commit more to building our business instead of working for someone for the rest of our life.
Yeah, and we honestly had this idea of living in a motorhome and all that way back before we ever started our own business. Kind of cropped up after we lived in Florida for a couple of years, moved back from Ohio, and we would travel down there whenever we could afford it. It wasn't even once a year. It was like every few years. Like I felt like we were going down there, and that was cool. It was nice to make it down there when we could. We usually try to spend a week down in Florida, see all the people that we know. But we both always had the idea that's like, how do we
snowbird
as
young people? How do we? And that absolutely is what kind of led to how do we make this happen. I spent a couple of years looking for jobs that would let me be either remote or let me work at an office in Florida in the wintertime and in Ohio in the summertime. And I mean, for you, I feel like you could have found a job that would lay you off in the winter.
Yeah, I could have done, especially up here, got into like a lawn care job or something along those lines, that or construction job that, yeah, would have laid me off for the winter, and then could have just either rode out with whatever money I made for the summer, or I mean, I do know some people in Florida, so there's opportunities down there too. So,
Yeah, always opportunities for you to find work, which I think is rad.
but the hardest thing was at that time, especially, was, yeah, finding you a job that they would let you be mobile.
Yeah. And I've always carried our insurance, so it wasn't an and my paychecks helped pay our bills. It wasn't an option for me to not work. And I didn't know how to like tell someone like, "Hey, I'm in Florida for 6 months or whatever. I only need a job for 6 months," and then have a position still up here. I couldn't find anywhere or anyone that would let me do that. And the other concern was if we had a house up here, leaving it in the wintertime up here for 6 months is scary in Ohio. Pipes can freeze and burst, and basements can flood. And if you're not there for a month at a time, even a lot of stuff can go wrong with a house, especially of that size, when you're not there to check on it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And then, I mean, it's hard to want to ask someone to go over there all the time and check on it and
Right.
take time out of their day or weeks or whatever.
Yeah, so that was kind of when the idea arose that, okay, well, maybe we try to sell the house and then I wouldn't necessarily need my corporate job. I worked a big corporate job, like for Wells Fargo Advisors, very good job, great benefits, a job that most people would kill for. And I'm not saying I didn't appreciate it while I had it, but if we didn't have that house, I can figure out, if I don't have a mortgage payment, I can figure out how to make enough money with the business to cover the rest of our bills. Between the two of us, we can figure it out, right?
Right.
The mortgage was what was really holding us back. So yeah, talked about it for a while, and after Loretta's, we had such a good time down there. I mean,
We spent like 3 weeks in Florida before Loretta's, or 2 weeks or something. Yeah, because we had a week of the PAX camp that they do in the summer every year, and we had the weekend between Loretta's and then Loretta's. So we were gone for like a good 3-4 weeks from home, and neither one of us really minded it. We were in the toy hauler, so a little less space and stuff. It was a little tight at times, but we really overall didn't mind being that way. And we even talked about it a few times before Loretta's, and even while we were at Loretta's, like, do we mind doing this, or could we see ourselves doing this?
yeah, we talked about it a lot.
Yeah, and both of us honestly just kept coming back to that we could see ourselves doing it.
Yeah, to make it possible, because I love families in Ohio. We did that once. We moved away permanently from family, like moved to Florida and like came back here to see family on vacations. And that sucks to have to spend your vacation time in Ohio. I want to see family. I'm not going to not see them, but like there's plenty of other places I want to spend my vacation time than in Ohio.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't move away from Ohio permanently because of family, but I despise Ohio winters. I cannot handle the cold, the doom and the gloom, the cloudiness. It's frigid and it's depressing around here for a good 5 months. Maybe 4. I'll say 4.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I mean, we're back up in Ohio now, and it's today's May 1st,
Yeah.
and it's still been the weather's been super up and down.
Yeah.
We haven't really we rode once since we've been back in Ohio.
Yeah, and I think for future plans we'll come back to Ohio, like bring everything back up a little bit later. But we'll get into that. So yeah, the decision was kind of made. The camp at PAX Tracks the week in between, and then Loretta's when we were gone for almost a month in the camper. That was kind of our trial run, see if we mind it. When we got back, we were like, let's go for it. Listed the house, I think around middle of September. So it took us about a month.
Yeah, to like totally decide if we were gonna really pull the trigger and do this.
Yeah. So we listed it. It took us a while to sell, and I have to think too that, I mean, the market, or not, the housing market, depending on your price range, I feel like is either fast or you sit on it. And a house that size, was in a little bit higher of a price point, and I wasn't going to give the house away.
Right.
Like we talked about numbers where we wanted to be at. So we sat on it for a while and started getting into wintertime, and both of us were like, man, are we going to spend another winter here? So we were kind of like getting a little bit like discouraged, I guess I would say. We had an offer, a really good offer.
Yeah. Discouraged and a little impatient.
Yeah, impatient for sure. But we had an offer, really good offer, accepted it. They were doing the inspections, and we knew about it, totally forgot about it, so I didn't disclose it, and that's my fault. Our neighbor across the street told the people who were trying to buy the house and doing the inspection that there's a gas pipeline under the house. And it was inactive. It's a big old pipeline that runs from God knows where up to Cleveland. There's nothing in it. So it was never a concern. We knew about it. They told me there was nothing in it, so I'd never like worried about it. Well, this couple that was buying our house, the lady found out about it and was like, "Oh no," like did not want to be near this pipeline. So we were like, "Yeah, man, like we're about to be there." When was that? Like probably December? Because we would have closed right before Christmas.
Yeah, it was like late November, early December, somewhere in there.
So we would have been out right after Christmas, and that would have been perfect. I'm like, perfect. We'll spend Christmas at home with everyone, and then we'll head to Florida. Great. Well, that all fell through maybe 2 weeks before the deal was supposed to close. So we were a little bit like really deterred at that point.
We weren't sure where we were gonna, like what we were gonna do, because it kind of was looking like we were gonna spend the whole winter up here, and kind of didn't look like we were going to be able to sell the house there for a little bit. That's how it kind of felt. Just the lack of interest we had on it and everything. So
yeah,
like you said, it was getting a little deterring.
Yeah, but we dropped the price a couple times and came down to like, honestly, it was pretty much like the lowest what we wanted to accept for it. But at some point in time, you have to decide what's more important. Do we want to leave worse than we want to make X amount off the house? Or do we want to just sit on it and wait until we can make what we want to make? So for us, it came down to we want, the flexibility to do what we want to do. We'll drop to the lowest we're willing to accept and see how it goes. And then we got it under contract. The deal was fine. And our closing date was February 18th.
Yep, it was.
Yeah. And that was the week before Summit. And we had kind of talked about it. We're like, Summit MX Indoors that you wanted to race. Because you make good money at those.
Yeah, because we had thought about leaving, trying to get out of here to head south earlier that week. And then I decided that, I was going to stick around and race Summit. Like you said, because I can make a little cash off of that, depending on how I do and everything. And so we stuck around. And of course, the weather, like leading into that was...
That's what I was going to say. Let's talk about like the couple of days trying to pack up the house. February 18th was a Tuesday. So we had a lot of stuff packed up and planning on making like moves. We have an enclosed trailer, a big van. Like I can move a lot of stuff quickly. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I'm like, Tuesday will be clean, easy. You actually had a tattoo appointment Tuesday evening. I was like, I don't want to be doing much on Tuesday. I want to just be done.
Yeah.
So it's February in Ohio, though.
Right, and like I was saying, so the weather leading into that was like really nice, and then we got into the end of that week, and the week before, and we got hit with a snowstorm. So we ended up losing, I think it was Sunday that we lost all day because the weather was so bad.
Yeah.
And then we also lost that day, like as far as moving stuff, because I was gonna store stuff at my mom's house in a detached garage, and because of the snow and how much it snowed and how deep it was to get over there, we couldn't get into the detached garage, so we were kind of scrambling and
with where to go with our stuff. We sold a lot of it, but
we sold some stuff that there was no real use on holding on to it. Some stuff got stored at parents' house and stuff, but then we were, kind of scrambling it then. So we ended up having to get a storage unit. And then, but we lost a whole day of, like, moving stuff, which we did try to, like, pack and, like, organize stuff, like, near the front door, essentially, the house, to get stuff out. But we still scrambled around for, like, 2 days straight trying to get out of there.
Yeah, I remember it was probably Monday night. We made a trip over to the storage unit, which... We got the storage unit close to your dad's, which is where we knew we were going to end up with like the camper when we were up here for a bit until we found a campground, which is an hour away from our house. So we lived an hour away from family. I didn't want to get a storage unit out there when we were never going to be out there. So anytime we needed to make a trip to drop stuff off, it was an hour.
Yeah.
One way.
It was a 2 hour round trip.
Yeah. So I think it was Monday night before the close date, we were at the storage unit at 10 p.m. unloading stuff and snagged a pizza on the way over there because we hadn't eaten yet.
Yeah.
We didn't like have time to slow down. I had packed all of our pans and everything, and it's not like we could get in the camper and use anything because it was literally 14 degrees.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was frigid. It was terrible trying to even load anything up
I don't
into
even
the
think
camper.
we had the camper at the house at that point.
No, had we moved it already?
Yeah, I think I brought it to my dad's.
So, but I mean, part of the problem was too, we were trying to load stuff into the camper, even on that day of the snowstorm, trying to take stuff out. It was so cold trying to be in there, putting anything away within like 10 minutes. My fingers were frozen. I'm like, I don't want to be out here organizing things. So we ended up just kind of throwing everything in the camper and like, okay, well, let's just get out of the house and we'll organize the camper when we get to Florida. Like we'll figure it out. We just need to get everything in there, have enough stuff for a week so that we can survive for a week, and we'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah, we were like haphazardly throwing stuff
Yeah.
in vehicles, trying to get everything cleaned out.
Yeah, we stayed up to like 2 a.m. Monday night and got back up at 6, and we're still rushing around. But we got out of there on time. Everything was good. You actually made your tattoo appointment too.
Barely.
Yeah.
I think I was a little bit late.
So again, I've said this before, welcome to the shit show. The heat in my truck decided to go out the day before we started doing this.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I didn't have time to ask anyone to fix it because like I needed to use it to drive. So we're leaving the house. I thought you had towed the camper then because I had my truck and the enclosed trailer full of stuff. My truck was full of stuff.
Maybe I did pull the trailer that day. I'm not sure.
But I'm hauling everything from our house an hour to your dad's house where we're kind of just setting up for a bit with no heat in my truck, and it's 14 degrees outside.
Yeah, you were frigid when we got here.
Yeah, like frozen to the core. So by the time we got here, I'm freezing. You're in a rush because you have a tattoo appointment. You're like, well, can't you help me? And I'm like, I can't even move. I'm so cold. Nothing ever works out like in a good timeline for us. I've come to find this out in life. So I just expect things to happen. I just expect things to go wrong. But we got out of the house in time. You made it to your tattoo appointment. And then we stayed with your mom for that week until Summit the following weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, that worked out once we got out of the house. It was a little chaotic and a couple days of trying to catch back up, but...
Yeah. So... We kind of took some time, like slow week at your mom's or whatever. I'm still working full time for Wells Fargo at this point. So I'm working remote and running Shred in the midst of all of this and trying to keep up with everything because let me take a step back, with my corporate job, asked, can I work from Ohio in the summer and work from Florida in the winter? No, you can't do that. Our financial advisors can. I worked with financial advisors, but in my position, wasn't allowed. Okay, can I work remote from Florida? Because during COVID, we worked remote for 2 years. We worked completely remote for 2 years before they brought us back into the office. Okay, I don't want to live here in the wintertime. Can I work in an office in the summer and remote in the winter? Nope, can't do that. Cool. So now, once we finally had a closing date for the house, and I go to my manager and I tell her, like, hey, I'm quitting. Our team was already down 3 people. So I told her, I was like, I know we're really short-staffed, and I don't want to put any more of a hardship on the rest of the team. What should have been like a 6 or 7 person team was down to 4 people, including me. So we were already trying to keep up with all this extra work. So I'm like, I don't know if this is a possibility now since like I have an official end date, but if you want me to continue working, I will do so, but you have to let me work remote while I'm in Florida. She's like, they might let you because it's temporary and they know it's not a permanent thing. So if someone asks, the whole reason they said I couldn't was because if someone else wanted to do it, they didn't want to let everyone do it. It was a dumb reason. There was absolutely no reason why they couldn't. But now all of a sudden I'm quitting and we're short people. So now I'm allowed to work fully remote. So I now was like, okay, so I'm going to continue working a full-time corporate job, running a business out of a camper. Cool. So that
sure,
week,
why not?
Yeah, that week you got to chill for sure. I wasn't even racing Summit, so it didn't matter. So I was busy still. You raced Friday night, Saturday night, and we got a hotel out that way. And we left for Florida the following Sunday. Like, got back to the hotel late Saturday night.
Slept in for a little bit.
got
got
up,
breakfast.
yeah, drove back to your dad's where all of our stuff was, your mom's.
Well, my mom's collected up um, Nellie and the cat, and then the rest of our stuff that was there. I think we wrapped up the mattress was there to store in her
Because we
garage.
had thrown a mattress on the floor so we could sleep there. She
Yeah.
doesn't have a spare bed set up.
So we wrapped that all up through in her garage, and then yeah, we came back and grabbed the toy hauler, rearranged a couple things because we were gonna take your truck and our enclosed trailer down with the and the van and toy hauler. Decided last minute essentially that we weren't gonna do that.
Because we were only going to be down there for 6 to 8 weeks anyways. We didn't want to drive separately, have all the extra fuel, cost and fuel and everything. So yeah, very, very last minute, like that day, we're like, okay, we're leaving the truck. My truck actually needed some body work. It's a 2010 Ram 1500 with 174,000 miles on it. I love my truck. But the body was getting rusted out, and your dad's a body guy. So he's like, hey, why don't you just leave me the truck and I'll fix it while you're gone. I was kind of like, oh, like I want to take my truck. But anyways, we decided ultimately to leave it, let him have it, let him fix it, and just take the van and camper at the very last second.
Yeah, we did a quick shuffle of what we thought we needed, what we thought we needed to leave, and then yeah, got hooked up and got on the road. And we did find out after we got down there that we had definitely a bunch of stuff that we didn't really need with us.
Well, and part of the problem was we didn't go through it all because it was so cold. Like that
Yeah.
whole week was just so cold. I didn't want to be outside. I didn't like it was just snowy and crappy and icy and it was terrible.
Right. I just wanted to get out of here, and I was like, we'll just figure it out when we get there.
Yeah, I know we were moving stuff the one day at the house still with my truck and the enclosed trailer, and the driveway was so icy we couldn't get the trailer. There was like the driveway was a tiny bit uphill, not a lot, just a little bit of an incline from the road up to the garage. We were trying to back the truck and trailer in, and it was so icy we couldn't get past the end of the driveway.
Yeah.
Had to go get ice melt. Oh my gosh, that's what I'm talking about. Why I don't like Ohio in the wintertime. So anyways, this whole process was a total pain in the ass. All of it. To the point that I'm like, what are we doing? Why? Why does it have to happen this week? But I felt like it was reinforcing our decision to leave because it was so cold and like, I was miserable.
It was miserable, but we got through it, and we made it happen. And then, yeah, we made the trek down and got down to Florida. And once we got down there, it was definitely worth it. It was
Oh my gosh, yes.
sunny and beautiful.
Yeah, the first 2 days actually were
It was a
rainy.
little rainy, yeah.
So we were kind of like sitting with all of our boxes and things in the camper because nothing was organized. Everything was thrown in there in this small little toy
We
hauler
couldn't really get everything pulled out to like
because it was wet outside.
organize. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like raining and stuff. So
And we were tired and exhausted. So the first 2 days were a struggle.
yeah. The one day, I think it was like our first day down there once we made it to PAX. It was like off and on raining, and I was like wanted a shower so bad I didn't even care. I ran over to their outdoor showers and took a shower, and then it started raining on me like right as I finished. But I didn't care. And we were down there.
Yeah, well, our shower in the camper, there is a shower in there, but it was packed full of stuff.
Yeah,
And
it was,
again,
it had stuff all packed in
I
there.
didn't have anywhere to put it or organize anything. So it was wild for like 3 weeks of our life there was like not just in Florida, but like 3 weeks chunk of time was like, what is happening?
Yeah. What did we do?
Yeah, but we knew we were going to be there for about 6 to 8 weeks. Posted up at PAX Tracks, so we know the track owners there are super nice. They have partial hookup spots, so we paid for a spot there and everything to stay there. Got to ride a bunch. Like, man, that was so cool. Like, essentially living at a track, and they ride Tuesday, Thursday, and then the weekend days. So we kind of got to ride there as much as we wanted, like whenever, we wanted to go sign up and pay for it. And then,
We got down there right at Bike Week too, and
yeah,
leading into that, before we got there, and then while we were there for like 2 or 3 weeks, he was open every day.
yeah, he calls it a shred fest, and literally every day they're riding. So like, and I'm like, well, I can't afford to ride every single day, but there's people on dirt bikes every day, and Phil and I are both feeling like, man, I feel like I should be riding every day, but it's just because we were living there.
Yeah. There was a good, I mean, I still rode quite a bit though while we were
Yeah.
there. I mean, you did too, but
Yeah,
I think I rode like a good 3 or 4 days
a week.
a week.
I probably rode about 2 days a week. And again, that's because I was still working full time. My official end date for my corporate job was March 28th. And we got into Florida at the end of February. So I had like a full month of working remote in Florida.
Yeah.
Still balancing all of the things just from a camper now. So quite interesting on that. A little stressful, but
Yeah,
we made
especially
it.
at first trying to figure out like what we were gonna do for internet and all that.
Yeah, I have a hotspot on my phone, which for anyone else like traveling, whether you live in an RV, camper, or when you're traveling you need internet, we have like you can usually get a hotspot on your phone, and I upgraded our plan so I had 30 gigs of hotspot data. I'm like, cool, that'll last me a while. I think it lasted me 5 days between running my laptop and the shred stuff, and I tried to do as much as from my phone as I could so that it was not using hotspot data and just using like my regular cellular data. 5 days. So I'm like, okay, we got to figure something else out. So that's when we actually decided to invest in, we call him Starlord, Starlink, for those of you that actually want to know what it's Starlink. Pretty cool little setup. We went with the standard kit at first, just kind of a little bit of background. The standard kit, the dish is huge, and it's got like a router and another
Separate modem and
all these things. I'm like, well, we live in a camper. I don't have room for all these things. Part of them have to stay dry. The dish can get wet. I was like, so they make a mini version where everything is condensed into the little, it's a lot smaller of a satellite. It's a little square satellite dish and just a power cord.
yeah, I think the modem built into the back of the satellite dish, and
Yes.
then the router is part of the power
Yes.
cord.
So much more condensed. There's a power cord with like a chunky kind of plug, a cord, and a satellite dish that you set outside. Much better for us. It was of course more expensive for the smaller one. I'd never understand those things, but and that's been working really great, thankfully. So anyone that like needs internet from the road, Starlink for sure. There's like a little bit of issues if you're parked under a bunch of trees, but luckily we've kind of been able to figure it out all the time. So I'm pretty stoked with that at least. But yeah, so we traveled around. We actually left PAX and rode a couple times. Went down and visited our friends in Tampa
Yeah.
and rode down there. We went one weekend and stayed at their house. Beautiful house down in Tampa. They have a pool and everything. That was so fun. We rode a couple days, and then we went back a couple weeks later and went and raced down
At
that
Dade
way.
City, yeah.
So just kind of, it was a very cool experience to get to be in Florida full time again. Like I missed that so bad. And we traveled around and went to the beach and to the little coffee shops and the restaurants out there. And we went golfing
Yeah.
whenever
I
we
was
wanted.
just about to say we played a little bit of golf and stuff down there.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. So it was really, really nice. I think we were there for 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was nice to enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah, and it was like we decided our timeline to come back to Ohio based on a qualifier, a Loretta's qualifier at NCMP in North Carolina, April 11th and 12th. So we're like, okay, that's kind of, en route on the way back. I actually wanted to be home for Easter. I wanted to make sure we got to spend time with family for Easter. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, that
well,
was part of the other reason we were gonna head north.
yeah, and NCMP was the weekend before Easter. I'm like, perfect. We'll head up, hit NCMP qualifier, finish the rest of the way up, get into Ohio on Monday or Tuesday, be there for the week, and then Easter that weekend. Well, the closer we got to NCMP and leaving Florida, for one, I was not ready to leave Florida. I
No.
told you that multiple times. I'm like, I'm feeling really weird about, I don't want to leave Florida. I mean, who does? But like I said, I knew I wanted to see family. There was a qualifier. The qualifier was looking like rain, and it did in fact rain.
Of course.
And I got,
So Loretta's qualifier.
I forgot to, right before speaking of timing, the best timing of everything for us, I had a really bad allergy reaction, not allergic reaction. Like I've got hives before and had to go to the ER for like steroids and stuff. They were cutting palm trees at PAX the one day, and I didn't think anything of it, and like trimming the trees up in the top of the palm fronds. I didn't think anything of it, and I'm sitting outside the camper.
All
And
the pollen was
yeah,
falling
all
out
the
of
dirt
it.
and the palm fronds, and it's windy, so it's all blowing around the pollen and everything, and I'm just like, whatever. Well, then, like the next day or two, I'm like, man, my throat hurts. Well, it got my allergies really bad, so leading up to leaving for the qualifier, I lost my voice, was super stuffy, sore throat. We got to the qualifier Friday. Okay, so we left Florida and went to North Carolina to race. It went from 80s and 90s. North Carolina was, that weekend was just unusually cold. It was like 55 or 60 and rainy all day on Friday. So we didn't even ride practice. I was like super congested, felt terrible. A couple of the girls that were racing, the one girl is a nurse, and then I met another friend of mine that's also a nurse. They're like, go get yourself like some Allegra D or, some Flonase or something. So Friday, instead of riding practice, we went into town to, I think, Walgreens or CVS.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
got me some meds.
And then we went to like a little coffee
Yeah,
shop.
yeah. So
Our
everything.
typical, our go-to when we're doing nothing.
Yeah.
We usually find us at a little coffee shop.
Yeah, I felt like crap. Couldn't hardly breathe. Like terrible, terrible.
The weather was pretty crappy too.
Yeah,
so
cold, rainy. So it was
we weren't really missing out on too much.
no. So we did that, and then Saturday I raced. It was very muddy. I was not feeling great, but I survived and qualified. Sunday you raced. It was great. You actually did really well. First in 30 plus and second in 25 plus for a qualifier. So we're excited to go to that regional. But the closer we got to heading back to Ohio, we're like, it's only like 30 and 40 degrees in Ohio this week. We can't be in a camper.
Yeah, like the evenings and stuff.
Yeah, like we can't be in a camper up there when it's that cold. We'll never stay warm. So we ended up deciding to stay in North Carolina for a couple days that week.
Yeah, we found a little campground towards the...
Yeah, you found that.
Yeah, I found it. It's Mount Airy, North Carolina, so near the top. It was over off of Route 74, but they call it that area Mayberry.
That's what Andy Griffith, right?
Yeah, the Andy
Griffith
Griffith show was like shot around there, and that's like his hometown and everything. So it was kind of neat. There was some like little history and stuff around there. Cool little spot.
Beautiful campground.
Yeah, super nice campground. If you're listening to this and you guys, if you travel and you're ever looking for nice campgrounds to go to, Mayberry Campground in Mount Airy, North Carolina. Check it out. It's super nice. Nice hookup spots. They had laundry facility, showers, house, and all that stuff. It was really cool.
And I have a note in my phone because we travel so much that if places we stop that are worth going back to, I make note of it. That made the list.
Yeah, it was a good one. Definitely wanted to keep that on the list.
So
like
we were,
you were saying.
We pulled in Monday, stayed Tuesday. Did we leave Wednesday?
No, I think we stayed till Thursday
You're right.
morning.
3 nights. And it's 55 a night. We got it 50 a night because we have AAA. So that's cool. But, yeah, we stayed till Thursday.
Full hookup too.
It was. And
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we still used
Star-Lord.
Yeah. We still use Star-Lord because their Wi-Fi kind of sucked, and I've gotten used to Star-Lord now. But anyway, we got to go golfing while we were there, too.
Oh, yeah. We only played 9 holes of this course that was right by us, but it was such a cool scenery.
Basically, yeah. So we were so far north in North Carolina. We're basically in the mountains already. So beautiful, hilly, very, very challenging course, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It was totally worth just the scenery.
Yeah. So, by the way, at this time, I'm done working, by the way. So April 11th and 12th was the qualifier. My last day was March 28th, and I had to go turn in my laptop at a local Wells Fargo office. Freaking best day of my life.
Freedom.
There was just like this weight. Like that. It's funny. I remember that morning, like I pretty much am always up and moving before you. I'm a morning person. You're not. You lay in bed for a while. I get up and I'm like making coffee and getting our fur kids food and everything. Anyway, I'm like bouncing around that morning, just having a good morning. And you got up and you're like, man, you're in a good mood today. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And you were like, it's because it's your last day, isn't it? And I was like, hell yes. Like I cannot wait. Because they had been putting a lot of extra work on us because we were short staffed. So I was like, I don't care. I'm done today. So anyways, at this point in time. So yeah, Mayberry was great. We headed back to Ohio Thursday and ended up getting here on Friday because No,
we made it back.
We made
it
Thursday.
Was like
it was later. Yeah, okay.
There.
It was later.
Just later in the afternoon.
And we pulled so we found this campground while we were in Florida that we were planning on buying a seasonal spot while we're up here to park the camper at. Full hookup, 6 months was like $2,200.
Yeah, something like that. They had laundry facilities and stuff.
So we're like, cool. I had called the guy. He said, just pull on in when you get here and we'll get you set up with a spot. So we get there. It's like 5 o'clock on Thursday. We pull into this place and he takes us around on the golf cart and shows us a couple little spots that we could pull into. And we're like, okay, like, sounds good. He's like, all right, pull in or whatever. And I had like wrote a check already, signed all the stuff, like giving this guy, like, yeah, sounds great. Well, the first spot that we had chosen to try to get the camper and van into was a back end spot, which is fine. But he's like, oh, well, we've had so much rain, the grass is wet. Don't get in the grass or you'll sink and maybe get stuck. The road was so narrow. It's a single lane gravel road all the way through the place, and then single lanes to back your camper into. Like, dude, we're in an extended transit van and a camper. How do you want me to get into that spot without getting in the grass?
Yeah, and the spots were like angled a little bit, but I like started to back it in there, realized I was gonna go in the grass, pulled up, jockeyed the trailer over more to try to kind of go off the into the grass like a little bit early, but not much with the trailer. That way I could try to keep the van out of it. As I was back in there, I like stopped because I realized that the van was gonna go in the grass regardless. And when I got out, I was like, "Yep, if I go any farther cranked with the trailer, I'm gonna be all jackknifed." So we
He was
we
like, he's like, oh, I got this other spot. There was one other spot that was on like a corner. It was kind of angled, little pull through spot. He's
yeah,
like,
he's
well,
like, if
let's
this
go
one
over
isn't
there.
gonna work, he's like, "Well, you guys like that other spot that was like that corner spot." So that's right. We pulled around over there, and the gravel wasn't like all leveled out or anything, which wasn't like a huge deal. I could have thrown out some blocks and everything, and he had me jockey the trailer, so I was pretty on the edge of this driveway, and where the electric hookup was, I wasn't even 100% sure we were going to reach it, which, I mean, in hindsight, I could have probably got like a cable extension and stuff and we would have been okay. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But when I was pulled into the spot, hooked up, the back end of my trailer was just barely off the driveway and the nose of my van was almost in the next driveway on the other side of the spot.
Yeah. So it was like we barely fit in there, and we wanted to be able to have my truck in there too. And then, so at this point in time, too, little, what would you call it? Teaser. We had found a Class A motorhome that we kind of wanted to go look at. I won't tell you where yet, but we found a Class A motorhome and it was about 35 feet. So I told the guy too, I was like, well, the problem with this spot is that we're actually looking at upgrading our rig and we're going to have an enclosed trailer to pull behind it, which means we're going to be longer. So I don't want to take this spot, upgrade our rig, and then not be able to fit into it if we end up getting something bigger. And he's like, oh, well, he's like, well, your rig should fit. Well, if you have to, we'll just park the trailer in the overflow parking at the front. No, dude, like our dirt bikes are in there. Those are going to stay with us. If
Yeah.
you don't have a spot big enough for us, like, nah, I'm good. So I ended up just telling the guy, he was a really nice older gentleman, and I just told him, I was like, I'm just really uncomfortable with this right now. I was like, is it okay if we see if this deal goes through? And, if it does, I'll come back if we want to come stay, if I think it'll fit. Is that okay? He said, yeah, that's no problem. And I actually asked him, I was like, can I have my check back? I was like, I don't want this guy like cashing my check and, out from underneath me and then him being like, yeah, sorry. So he gave me my check back. Like I said, very nice guy, very understanding. We hadn't used anything or taken anything from him. So, but that was like, as soon as both of us pulled out of there, we looked at each other and we were like, I felt like we just made the biggest mistake writing that guy a check after we pulled in there and was trying to get in there. And then it was like, holy crap, what did we just do? And then all of a sudden it was like, weight off of our shoulders that we were like pulling out of there. I'm like, yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah. So, yeah, we left there and just toted everything back over to your dad's house. You actually called him and was like, hey, campground didn't work out. Can I just come post up in your driveway? Because he's got 12 acres out here. Big, long driveway. Like, he's got a semi. He drives semis. He's got a semi parked out here, tractors, everything. He's got plenty of room. But, like, he still wanted to ask, So we did. And he, of course, said no problem. He's glad to have us. So then it was Easter weekend.
Yeah, we were back up here, and
Literally Thursday night, we had Friday. And then Saturday, we had Easter plans. And Sunday we had Easter. Yeah.
So,
we
yeah,
at least made
quick
it to
round.
see family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we made it back up like we said we would.
Well, the Class A motorhome that I alluded to earlier, the sneak peek on that, Phil found it while we were sitting at the campground in North Carolina, and this motorhome was in Okeechobee, Florida. Now, the reason we had looked at motorhomes in Florida was to keep the, usually they, not ran through the salt and everything, so they're usually very low rust, very well taken care of
Yeah, they're like
units.
they're pretty clean down there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get them a little sun-baked on like the graphics or something, but yeah, overall like chassis and stuff are usually pretty clean on vehicles down there. So I had been hunting down there for motorhomes and had looked at a couple, but they were a little bit out of our price range while we were down there. Didn't find anything that we really wanted to like truly
Move on.
look at and pull the trigger on.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, of course, I find this one while we're in North Carolina, but we're like, man, we like we kind of already committed to going back for
Easter.
Easter, so it's like we're not gonna be able to like. I think I found it on like Tuesday,
Yeah.
and we're like, how do we? There's no way we can like make it back down there, get this thing, and then make it back in time for Easter. So yeah, we kind of threw it around for a few days too, whether we wanted it, and we did some calling on it, and you did some legwork and got some videos on the thing and everything because it looks so clean online. And then so yeah, we made it back up here. We did Easter, and we had decided to go get the thing.
Well, we were trying to figure out too, we were going to trade in our camper on it, but our camper we have negative equity on. So that was the other thing, trying to find something in our budget. I'm like, I know we have about 5,000 in negative equity we're going to have to tack on top of something. So that kind of sucks, obviously, anytime you have to do that, but wasn't, impossible. We just had to find the right priced unit. And this one happened to be right in that price range. Well, then we were trying to figure out, do we drive the van and camper all the way back down there and spend that fuel money,
And then turn around and have to drive two vehicles all the way
or
back.
find out that the motorhome is not what they're saying it is and we don't want it, and then have to turn around and drive the van and camper back? I would be
Oh
heartbroken.
yeah, that too.
So did some kind of research, and I found out you can rent out campers. I'd like to sell it. It's listed for sale if anyone's interested. But you can rent out campers that you're not using. So I'm like, what if we just keep our camper? The payment's super low. It's like $200 a month. What if we just keep the camper and go buy this motorhome? So that's kind of when the idea hatched to fly back down to Florida to go look at this motorhome.
Yeah,
And you kind of put all that together. I was pretty proud of you.
I did, and I've seen and heard of people doing that before, and so I was like, well, yeah, I kind of got the harebrained idea. I'm like, well, what if we fly down there and get a rental car, go look at this thing, and whatever. So yeah, I started hunting around. I found us one-way tickets for a fairly good deal
Into Fort Lauderdale.
into Fort Lauderdale, which actually put us 2 hours. I think it was
2 hours,
yeah,
yeah.
pretty much 2 hours south of where we needed to be. So, but and then I lined us up for a rental car, which wasn't too bad. I think I spent $55 for the day.
Yep.
And was able to drop it off in Kissimmee, so it was like on the way north for us. As long as everything worked, that was the biggest thing. Was because I only had the rental car till 6 p.m. and we had one-way flights down there.
Yeah, so there was no backup plan. If it didn't work, we were going to be stuck in Florida until we could figure out plane tickets to get back home.
Yeah, I was either going to be calling somebody I knew down there, or we were going to be getting a hotel, or
I joked,
sleeping on the beach. Yeah.
Sleeping in the airport. I have no
Sleeping on the
idea.
airport. We were winging it for sure.
So we had literally been back in Ohio for 3 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
And then we, the plane tickets I found were for Monday.
at 6 a.m.
Yeah, at 6 a.m.
Which means you have to board the plane at 5:20.
Yeah.
Which means you
so-
have to be at the airport at 4:30.
Yeah. So we did the whole Easter thing, and then yeah, turn around. My dad's always he gets up super early, so he didn't mind taking us to the airport. So we got up at 3:30, went to the airport, got there, boarded a plane at 5:20, flew, got into Fort Lauderdale about like 9:30, picked up the rental car at the airport, drove 2 hours to Okeechobee to look at this Class A motorhome I had found online. And so yeah, we went there and we spent about 4 hours at the
Yeah.
dealership looking over this thing, test drove it, talked through everything.
Which, by the way, the lady at the dealership knew nothing. She's sold units before, but I wonder almost if they sell mostly like bumper pools.
It's what it looked like they had a lot of in
Yeah, because she's the one that sent me a bunch of videos. Very nice I'm not saying anything like negative against her, but she didn't understand how half of the things in here worked. Like she couldn't figure out how to get the slides out in the one video and told me, oh, the levels have to be down. And I'm like, I think they're supposed to be, but I don't think they have to be. Come to find out, if the coach is running, the slides won't go out, obviously, to make sure you don't accidentally put the slides out going down the road. Like that's kind of a safety thing. Just a couple other things that she didn't like know how to explain that I'm like, I need, especially when it came to some of the finance paperwork. She's like said something, I'm like, that's not right. So I made her call someone else to ask. Like, so we spent a while there because part of it was her not knowing things, and like, we're the type of people, we've done this before. I need to know, like, I want to know everything, like all the things.
Yeah.
So we were very meticulous.
Everything's got to be clear.
Yeah, very meticulous going through it. There were some things I didn't love about it, but again, at the price point, like it's a 2011 Coachman Murata. It's 35 feet. It's got 2 slides on it. They had it listed for 28.
Yeah, 28. I don't know, 28.5 or 28 something.
Yeah, so I was actually very skeptical flying down there. I'm like preparing to have to figure out how to come back. I'm like, there's no way this thing looks as clean as.
Yeah, we looked at one, I think for more than that, like 32 or something like that in Ohio one time. And I could almost put my finger through the bedroom wall because it was like all rotted out
from water damage. And then there was another one that we had looked at last year that was even more expensive. It was closer to $40,000. That when we got into it to test drive it, the whole dash was broken. So the whole time you're driving it, it's clunking,
rattling around.
Yeah, and the guy was like, "Oh, well, we didn't know that was broken." Like
he's like, "Oh, we just got this unit in not too long ago."
Right. So
we're like, nope.
Right. So we know what you get for a certain price. Like we've looked for a while. So like again, looking at this motorhome online and having her send me all these videos, I'm like, there's something. There's got to be something.
Doesn't seem right.
No. So again, I was super skeptical flying down there. The only thing that, I mean, the biggest issues, the slides are going to need, not the slides, the
awnings over the slides.
The awnings over the slides are going to need replaced. They're just starting to tear. And then the big awning on the side that you put out to sit under is going to need replaced. And then the rear tires. So the front tires are newer, and I actually found the paperwork newer in 2021. But the rears are starting to crack in between the tread, and like we travel, so I'm not going to have an issue with a tire blowout. So my dad actually priced those out. That's $2,000. So like there's like, again, some things that like I wasn't stoked on that she didn't tell me, like with the awnings and stuff. But again, for the price point, like this thing was like immaculate compared to other things we've looked at.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, once we got there and did look over it for the price point, it really wasn't in bad condition. I mean, the graphics are a little weathered and everything, but
a little sunbaked.
Yeah, it's but I mean, it's a 2011, and I think it was in Florida for about 8 years.
Side note, it only has 28,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
A 2011 that was the other reason we like, oh my God, I have to go.
Yeah, we gotta go check this thing out. So
yeah,
we did. It was super low mileage, which is a good and a bad thing. Because being the year, obviously it wasn't drove a lot. But yeah, it was a really solid unit. So, and the other thing is I was going to point out is that we were at that dealership for a while, and on top of it, I didn't realize there was a drop off, like our Enterprise right by us in Okeechobee. We could have dropped the car off. And I had scheduled it to be dropped off in Kissimmee at 6 p.m., not thinking we would need that much time. And Kissimmee was another 2 hours north of us. So we were like kind of scrambling because we spent so much time there to get out of this dealership.
And she was a little bit slow. Like I thought we had plenty of time, and then she was a little bit slow doing all the finance paperwork. And then she couldn't figure it out because we lived in Florida and had Florida driver's license. And now we have
pulling up my Florida.
Yeah, and so anyways, she was just slow, which is fine. But then we were like, it's like 4:00, and we need to be up there by 6, and it was a 2-hour drive, and we're like telling us like we gotta go, like we're gonna miss our drop off time for the car. And I called to see if I could switch it to Okeechobee, and they're like, yeah, it'll be an extra $30. I'm like, nope, we're driving 2 hours.
We'll be there.
So worth the $30. But anyways, so we bought it. We did buy
Yeah,
it.
we did end up buying it, and yeah, we hustled up, dropped the rental car off, and then we started to make our trek back north again
In a motorhome, a
in a
Class A that
motorhome.
we just purchased.
Yeah,
A seven, that by the way, from Okeechobee to Oberlin, Ohio is almost 18 hours.
yeah, like 1,200, almost 1,200 miles or something like that.
In a brand new to us motorhome that's a 2011 that we have no idea how the motor is really.
Yeah, it sounded pretty good, and I mean, it ran well when I test drove it, and brakes, so everything felt good. Um, so yeah, we started out, and I've drove some bigger vehicles, but not for like extended lengths of time, let alone something this big and long, because it's like 34 foot long. So yeah, we got on the road, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I did notice when I was like crawling around underneath of it, it looks like they had the people that owned it had upgraded the shocks on it at some point in
Yes.
time.
It's got the Bilstein.
Yeah. So once I got driving, it actually handles really well on the highways. Semis don't really push me around too much or anything. So once I got cruising and everything, I felt pretty comfortable with it. So
Yeah, and you drove it. You ended up driving it 4 hours in that first day because we went 2 hours up to Kissimmee and then 2 hours further up. We just, so we had to go right by Pax Tracks to go home. So we were like, well, that's at least somewhere that we know that we're comfortable with to stay. So we pulled in there, like, we called the owner again, like, hey, can we stay the night? Like, we didn't hook up or anything, but we just pulled in there and camped for the
yeah.
night because we knew the area and we were comfortable there.
I tried calling him and he didn't pick up, so I just texted him like, "Hey," I was like, "I'm in Orlando and I just bought this motor home." I was like, "Is it cool if I just swing through and camp at the track?" And I hadn't even heard from him. We just started driving. And we were like an hour away, and he texted me. He's like, "Of course, bro." He's like, "Swing in." So we just swung in. We didn't hook up or anything. Just swung in, parked, and camped out for the night. Used the outdoor showers the next morning,
Yeah.
grab us a shower and everything.
Which,
And
by the
then,
way, so we bought the motorhome. Obviously, none of our camping, none of our stuff is in it. And I didn't want to have to take it to
oh yeah,
Walmart and buy, like, we literally just sold a house with so much crap that I have in boxes everywhere. I don't want to go buy another set of sheets, another blanket, another set of pillows. Like, I have so much of that stuff. So when we were flying, we were just going to take a personal item each because it's free. Well, I'm like, I don't need a carry on. Well, then I'm like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to go buy more sheets. So I spent $39, which in hindsight, I probably could have just spent that on sheets instead. But to take a carry on with sheets and pillows. So that way we could at least sleep on a bed and have some sheets and blankets and pillows.
yeah.
But the
That was
blankets,
kind of funny though, because we brought a sheet. Our pillows were throw pillows for like a couch,
yeah, because I couldn't fit full size ones in.
and then we brought. We have these like little like fleece blankets or whatever
I would
they're
almost call them like,
microfibers.
yeah, but they're like airplane blankets, like that kind of size, like just super lightweight, super small little blankets.
Yeah, I was like, oh, these will work perfect. They're small. They're easier to get in the bags. Not thinking the fact that the thing's not long enough for me. So yeah, that was our setup, and then our first night in the in the motorhome, I was fighting whether I wanted myself covered up towards my head or like up towards my neck, or my feet were gonna be covered.
Yeah, so I slept great though. So that was the first night, and then we got up in the morning, and again, we knew the area, so there was this little restaurant that we really liked when we had been staying down there that had a big enough parking lot. So
Well, we weren't totally sure it was gonna be big enough, but
no, we figured it out though. We just parked by their dumpster, but we pull in the motorhome and just park in front of their dumpster. Found like room for us because it wasn't busy on a Tuesday morning. Everyone's working. So we pull in there in the motorhome and we're giggling or whatever. And we go in to eat breakfast and we got right back on the road to head up towards. We kind of knew we wanted to stop again. We were going to make it all the way home.
yeah, I don't. I mean, we definitely could have like hammered down and probably made it pretty far, but we kind of knew that we were gonna break it up and like
Take
try
our
to make it.
time.
Yeah, try to take our time and make it semi-enjoyable, but it was just mainly
And
like
again,
driving and stopping and sleeping.
Right. Again, I'm no longer working a corporate job. I'm just running Shred. I brought my laptop with me. You're helping me run Shred. I'm like, why do we need to rush home? Neither one of us have jobs we have to rush to. I can work on the road. Like, that's the the benefit of a remote job. So that's why we plan to take our time. But my favorite saying of all time is, if it was meant to be fast, it wouldn't be shaped like a freaking brick. So we took our time. We didn't drive very fast. I mean, you drove the speed limit. I did actually drive it. I drove it for about an hour at a time at first. I'd drive for an hour and then give it back to you. Because I was like a little bit nervous. I didn't know what I was going to do. And like, that was enough for me. Like, I think the last time I drove it about 2 hours, but I did drive it. It's really not bad at all. The cool thing about this is it weighs so much. It's like 20,500 pounds. When semis blow by us, or vice versa, not that I blew by any semis, but it weighs so much, it doesn't, like, you don't get so much of the air off of it. Versus the van and camper, our camper only weighs, it's less than 5,000 pounds dry, and the van is a big empty box.
Yeah, it's like maybe 5,000 or 6,000 pounds.
So we get blown all over the place. So I'm like,
tin can.
Yeah, and I'll drive the van and camper no problem, because the van drives so nice. But yeah, you're watching your mirrors all the time, waiting for like keeping an eye on semis and things. Even some of the smaller cars, if they pass you fast enough, you feel it in the van and camper. It like pushes you out of the way. So I'm like kind of like prepared for that. But this big old thing, and then someone passed us, and I was like, oh, it's fine. So, but the coolest thing about the motorhome, ask me what the coolest thing is.
What's the coolest thing?
Being able to pee going down the road.
A rolling bathroom.
Yeah, that's been my favorite part, because usually when we're driving places, especially long distance, I will really try not to drink much because I have to pee about every hour. So if we're like driving somewhere, especially in the morning, I'm like, I gotta pee. And then we'll stop, and then an hour down the road, I'm like, I gotta pee again. Well, when you're in a van, you gotta stop somewhere to go. I mean, granted, you could pull over and I can go back in the camper, but I can't walk back there while we're driving. So this thing was really cool. I just get out of the seat and go pee. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
Because we even stopped. Well, I didn't have to stop the one time. We got into like, it was the day that we headed to Ohio, but we were in Charleston and got stuck in a little bit of a traffic jam. Enough that I was like kind of like stopped, so I was able to throw it in park. You took over, and I was able to run back and go to the bathroom.
Yeah, we swapped on the road because we were in traffic.
But we had, before that, had gone from Florida, like we were saying, we knew we were going to break it up. So we left there, and we ended up heading back up, and we stopped at
Mayberry
at
again.
that Mayberry
because we liked it
again.
so much. And they'll let you do late check-ins even if the office is closed, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. And super nice spots. Like pretty much everything there was like a pull-through spot. Mm-hmm. There was a handful of back ends, but overall the way it was set up, like everything was really nice gravel, super, like all the spots were super open and easy to get into. If you did have a back end spot, there was like a really big driveway that led in to where you
wide
could,
mouth, to get in.
It was super nice the way it was set up, and they had quite a few camp spots. Especially for like this big unit.
Yeah, they call themselves big rig friendly.
Yeah. So
before we got there though, we got into, it was actually right at the bottom of North Carolina. So we
we were rocking the AC.
Yeah, and I don't know why I got on my weather app, but I saw that we were coming into a severe thunderstorm, and it said up to 60-mile-an-hour winds. And
I could see the trees ahead of us starting to like whip around.
Yeah,
I'm
like 60 miles an hour in this thing. So we were trying to make it, I think, another 45 minutes up the road to get food at this little barbecue place that I found. But I ended up finding, I was like, okay, well, there's an exit a couple miles up here because it started getting bad.
Yeah, it started pushing me around a little bit.
Like halfway off into the shoulder a couple times.
Like out of nowhere, too. It wasn't like consistent. It would just like, it was like swirling around.
Yeah, and then it started pouring too, which I'm actually glad we got off when we did, because we turned the windshield wipers on. So we got the air conditioning on because now the the windows are closed because it's raining. Windshield wipers are on. We're like, okay, screw the barbecue place. We're just gonna get off here. There was a Chinese restaurant.
Place,
yeah, so we're like, cool. So we stop. Well, we pull.
We get off the exit, and we're like stopping at the end of the exit. The windshield wiper pops off.
Yeah, and it's hanging there.
The arm catches it, so it's still hanging there. I'm trying to hurry up and shut the dang windshield wipers off so it doesn't scratch the window with the arm. And then I get that shut off, and we're sitting there for a second waiting for traffic. And then the AC starts smelling like a little bit hot.
Really? Like all of a sudden it was like hot motor, and I'm like, oh
Yeah, like we got something
no.
burning or what.
Yeah.
And
He's like, are we smoking?
yeah, I was worried we were smoking. And mind you, like when we had got the thing, like I could tell there was like a little bit of like one of the pulley bearings or something.
You
was
said
like,
that too.
Yeah, it was making noise. I'm like, something's gonna have to be replaced, but I think we should be fine.
I personally thought that we were going to have issues on the way home, so I was fully expecting it, but
Yeah, we have AAA, so we're okay. But I was like, fingers crossed, we were gonna be all right. But so yeah, we pulled off there. I shut the AC off. We pulled around, got out at the Chinese place. I was kind of checked under the hood. I could smell it was like a little bit hot, but we weren't like on fire or anything.
smoking
Yeah,
or anything.
It wasn't smoking anything.
It wasn't
like that.
leaking anything either, but it was
Yeah.
downpouring.
Yeah, so we ran in, got some food, came back out, ate, and then I checked before we got on the road, and we were good. It didn't really smell too hot anymore.
But we didn't run the AC anymore.
Yeah, we stopped running
because we were like,
AC.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably wait till we can get that checked out.
Which, by the way, when we were running the AC before, it wasn't even that cold to begin with. So I had already texted my dad and because both of our dads work on stuff all the time. I had already texted my dad and said, hey, we're going to need to recharge the AC in this. And he's like, how do you know? I was like, because it's not cold at all. It was like kind of maybe a little bit cool air, but then after a while it just started blowing like warm air. So we just shut it off.
It's like, it was pretty much like if you just turned the fan on.
Yeah. So I already knew like the AC was going to need some love.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just didn't run it anymore. Figured it was the AC. I actually texted my dad. I was like, hey, this happened. Should we just keep driving and leave the AC off? He's like, well, yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Right,
I don't know what else we're going to do.
Still ways away from home.
Yeah.
So we made it to Mayberry, and then
Our first time hooking up, so
yeah. So we get there and we're like trying to like hook up, and I was just gonna put first off I was gonna put the sewage hose out, and with our other camper I have like hoses, and then I have like a little elbow that'll sit down and
we have the setup.
yeah,
It's our
we have
camper.
the setup. This thing had the hoses in it, but there's no like little elbow, so the hose wouldn't stay out.
And it almost wasn't even long
Yeah,
enough.
it's like one, so it's like a little bit almost short. So you're like, screw it, we won't leave it out. And then the water hooked up fine because they actually had the water hooked up to the city connection when we got there to look at the thing.
Yeah.
So I knew that worked fine. And then we also, we hooked it up. I plugged in for electric, and I come inside, and we start trying to use stuff, and I'm like, what the heck? We have no electric.
Yeah, because my telltale is always looking at the microwave. If the numbers aren't on the microwave, then we don't have power.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we don't have any power.
Yeah, and we were confused too because that lady, speaking of not like knowing anything, she had even told us that, oh well, the slides will go out, but you have to have the generator running. Or plugged in.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, that makes sense. So we had plugged in. Were we even plugged in?
Yeah, we had plugged in and then put the slides
we plugged in and
out.
put the slides out. And we're like, okay, cool. And then we started trying to use stuff, and we had no power. And we're like, what the heck? Like, the slides just went out. Why is nothing on? So I go outside, and then I look at where we're plugged in, realize that the 50 amp fuse is
The breaker,
off. Or the breaker for the box. So I kick it on, and I'm like, well, the slides go out on the coach batteries.
Yeah, we used,
But yeah, so at first we're like, oh no, we don't have power in this thing. But luckily it was just a breaker. So
we figured that out. So we were going to stay overnight, obviously. Our electric, we'd have water, whatever. I had bought some stuff. We actually swung through a Walmart, and I bought like some cleaning supplies, some paper plates, and just some basic things that we were going to use anyway. So I had kind of like already started cleaning the motorhome and wiped down the shower and everything, and bought some loofahs so we could shower in it before we left on Wednesday.
Yeah.
At that point in time. So we showered and everything, and we went outside. We were just going to dump the tanks. As long as you stood there and held it into the drain, it would stay. It just wouldn't sit in there otherwise. So we dumped. You always dump black first. That way when you dump the gray, it rinses out your hose. Cool. I pulled the black.
A little bit came out.
A little bit. And then it was
then
just...
you could hear kind of something like hard, like,
And it sounded just very crusty.
yeah.
That's the
And
best.
it like kind of like moved, and then I didn't hear anything come down the pipe. So I told you, I was like, run inside and flush some water, because we were still hooked up to the water. I was like, flush some water down the, and rinse the toilet out. So you're like in there, and I could kind of hear like, I thought you were running water, and I'm like, after a few minutes, I remember yelling. I'm like, "Hey!" I was like, "Are you running water?" And you're like, "Yeah." Nothing was coming down the hose. So I'm like, "All right, well, we got a log jam."
So I think, because we had used it a little bit too, and there's water down in there for sure. So I think, because it had sat in storage, this unit had sat in storage for 2 years before the people that had it before us decided to sell it. So I wonder if when they dumped the tanks, it didn't all come out. So
Or they forgot to dump the tanks in it.
right, or so something got hard. So anyways, nothing would come out. So now you and I are both like, oh no, like what do we do?
We just dumped the gray. We plugged that bed off and dumped the gray. It came out all fine. But yeah, we were like, oh god, what are we gonna do? We gotta figure that out once we get back.
Yeah, so not really stoked. But I was reading online, they make enzymes and stuff you can dump down in there that's supposed to break all that up. So fingers crossed, we dumped it in there and haven't had a chance to try to dump it yet. So fingers crossed that worked. Otherwise, we bought this thing. It's called a Rhino Blaster. Someone told me about it on Facebook. It's hilarious. You hook
It's
it
like
on
an elbow that you like hook on.
to where your black tank drains.
Yeah, and then you hook the hose onto the other end of it. So like when you pull it, it can drain if it wants to, or you hook a like on the like the elbow part of it, there's like a hose fitting,
garden hose
fitting, and you can blast water up into your tank the opposite way. That way it can force things around and it starts flowing.
So we have one of those, and we tried the enzymes. So anyways, that's in there, whatever. So we're like, figure that out when we get home. But we made it the rest of the way home without an issue.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, everything went smooth.
Yeah, right when we got, actually right when we got, before we got up here to your dad's, we stopped and bought the enzymes and stuff. So then we get it here and just get it parked for the night to stay in it. And your dad wanted to take a look at it because he can fix things like this. He's got a semi and everything, and pulled it over into the shop. Found out it was the
AC pump on the motor.
Yeah, the bearing was going bad, and that's attached to the the
serpentine
wheel
belt is all like around
Yeah.
the pulley on that, and then like there's like a clutch system on it and stuff. It was all pretty rusted out, and the bearing was pretty shot.
So he's like, you guys are lucky that you made it home, because if this bearing would have, went bad while you were driving it, it would have spit the serpentine belt off and you wouldn't have had any power and you would have been stuck. So like, I was like giggling because I'm like, I was waiting for something. Like I was just expecting it because shit always happens to us. I just wait for it now, right? If nothing happens, I'm like, this is weird. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. But it didn't. We made it back. I mean, kind of it did, but we made it back. And then that was what day? Wednesday.
Yeah. Wednesday we got back. I think me and him tore into it.
Thursday you did, because we slept in it the first night over here. You tore into it on Thursday, found it was the AC pump, ordered the part. So we took it out of the shop, drove it back over here so we could sleep in it, ordered the part.
Well, we didn't tear the pump all the way out
Correct. You just could tell that's what it was.
So
then
you ordered one.
Friday it came in.
Yeah.
So
I drove it back over there to the shop.
He had the pump, so you guys ripped the pump out of the motorhome.
Yeah.
Find out that the pump that they ordered was the wrong one.
Yep.
They ordered it for an F350 because it's definitely the same.
Yeah.
There's a Triton V10 motor in this thing, but it's definitely the same as an F350. So then he's like, you're like, oh, we have a problem. I'm like, what? They're like, oh, this is the wrong one. So I'm like, okay. They're like, well, we can reorder it. It won't be until Monday. So now I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I'm like, we just won't have the motorhome for the weekend. Like, I'm not going to sleep in it in your dad's shop because the shop floor is dirty. And, like, you're tracking in and out, and there's no sunlight in there. I'm not going to... I'll just stay in the camper.
I wasn't going to be able to... I couldn't get the slides out either where it was parked at.
Right. So I was like, we'll just stay in the camper. So, like, thankfully we kept it because the camper's still here.
Yeah.
And most of our... Like, I had started...
Yeah, we had moved some stuff out of the camper into the motorhome, and then...
Right, expecting it to be fixed on Friday and be good to go, but why would it ever happen that way? So then it sat in there all weekend.
That's because we made it all the way home.
I know. Sat in there all weekend. Monday morning comes, new pump's in, goes and gets it, brings it back. Wrong pump again.
Yeah. So he grabbed the old pump, takes
Yeah.
the new one and the old one up, and then they browsed through and found the right one and realized that it was a special order part
So now it wouldn't be until
until
Thursday,
Thursday.
which was today.
Yeah.
Today, this Thursday, like a
Yeah.
week later.
But it actually came in yesterday, on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
early.
It came in a day early. Actually got the right one in. So we got it all replaced, and she purrs like a kitten now.
Yeah. Yeah, so it would happen to us that we would go buy a new motorhome and bring it back and have to stay in the camper for an extra week. That's fine. Like, I'm very thankful that we have the camper, like, blessed beyond belief to have what we have to be able to do that. But I was like,
That's why we kept it. The universe told us
they knew.
they knew
It
we were going to
knew.
need
Yeah.
it still.
So, but yeah, you had taken it. I was gone yesterday when you guys finished and it needed propane in it, which, by the way, at one point last week, when this motorhome was sitting here, so the
We were
motorhome
using
is
it.
parked right by the camper. They're like parked right next to each other. The motorhome had no propane in it to heat water. The camper had propane but no water in it. We were out of water. So I'm like back and forth between the two. Like, I can use like half of the things in each camper. I don't know what to do. So then this ended up in the shop and we just put water in the camper or whatever. Not a big deal. But I was like, oh my God, I'm tearing my hair out. I'm living between two campers right now. This is terrible. It wasn't that bad. But anyways, so yesterday once you guys finished the pump, you took it to get propane. And I was home by the time you got back. I wasn't here when you left. But you told me it was fixed, whatever. I was sitting over by the camper and I wasn't watching the driveway, but I heard someone pull in and I was like, oh, it's probably your dad's girlfriend getting home or whatever. I don't know. Come to find out it was you pulling in this thing. I'm like, I didn't even hear it. Like, I expected, like, not that it was super loud before, but you could kind of tell, like, a bigger vehicle was pulling in. It was just a little bit noisy. And it sounded like, I mean, I'm sure if I would have stood right next to it, it'd be louder than her vehicle. But I couldn't hear it. It was so quiet. I was like, dang, like, it sounds so good. So I'm pretty stoked on that.
Yeah, it runs real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I had taken it over to get propane, and yeah, it runs super good. Sounds good going up and down the road. So, and we got ice cold AC now.
Oh, yeah. You said that you had that temperature thermometer thing.
Yeah, I stuck it in there and left it in there after we got it all, like all the,
Back together.
yeah, all the Freon in it. That's like, because couldn't think of the word. Got all that back recharged in there and everything, and then yeah, it was blowing cold air, so we stuck a thermometer in there for like, I don't know, a few minutes or whatever, and when I went over and pulled it out, it was reading 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Wide open on max AC, so I was like, oh yeah, we're cold.
Yeah, that's the other thing I will tell you all. If you have to drive around a Class A motorhome without AC, like, I'm not complaining or anything because, man, that big, beautiful front panoramic view out those windows is amazing, especially driving through the mountains. I'm sitting up there, which, by the way, the captain's chairs are like recliner chairs.
Yeah,
so
it's
I'm
pretty
just,
wild.
yeah, when I'm like not driving, I'm just sitting there like gawking out the windows. You have like a panoramic view of wherever you're driving. It is beautiful. However, if you
The
don't...
sun is blazing on you, though.
Yeah, so we got like the windows open. Half the time when I was driving, I just got like shorts and a sports bra on, like straight sweatshopping it, driving down the road. It's so hot up here.
Yeah, the seats are leather too, so you're like stuck to them.
Yeah, especially without AC. We passed this one Class A. I was dying. We passed this one Class A, and they had the windows closed, and the lady in the front seat, in the passenger seat like I was, she was covered up in a blanket. I was like, oh, look, Phil, that's what I should look like, but I'm over here dying.
Sweating.
Yeah, so it was just funny things. But yeah, super excited with our purchase. I told multiple people before we even flew down there that we have lost our dang minds, and I still believe we have. But we knew we were going to upgrade at some point. I didn't know that it was going to be feasible now, but sometimes when the universe puts something in your lap that's too good to be true, you got to jump at it.
Yep.
So, and this one happened to not be too good to be true. I'm sure there's some other things, like I want to update just little things in here. It's really, really solid, nice on the inside. I want to redo the floor. There's some carpet in here that's just kind of old. I'll pull that up and just put like some laminate down, we're buying a new, shower head, little motorhome things. I mean, it is a 2011. I want to upgrade some things, but I believe they said this was one owner, and they
That's fair.
have a funny story. This motorhome is from Ohio.
Yeah.
It's got
The people
badges.
lived in Lima.
Yeah, which is not far from here.
No.
So, they left all the paperwork, like all of the service paperwork was in one of the cupboards, which I'm stoked on because now all of the manuals for everything, the generator, the fridge, the everything, they left it all, including the service paperwork where I found out that the front tires were only 2 years old, and that's where it had the guy's address listed in Lima. We were dying. There's also badges on the outside of the motorhome. We're in Okeechobee, Florida, looking at this motorhome that has Ohio on it. I'm like, really? How? How does this happen? How does this happen?
We
So,
would find the Ohio motorhome.
yeah, but very, very clean underneath. And then, yeah, just general update things that you do with any older motorhome. So, biggest thing for us, though, is that solid. We wanted a drivable coach instead of a camper. The van
Yeah.
isn't like, the van, we didn't buy the van to tow with it.
No, and I didn't want to tow forever with it. It does a good job with the toy
Yeah.
hauler that we have, but I didn't want to tow forever with that thing. Just the wear and tear that towing puts on it
Right.
and stuff. And I do have an enclosed trailer
We want to use.
that we've had, but we weren't using it so much after, because we got the van after we had the enclosed trailer, so we weren't using it a ton. And then this way I can use it with the motorhome and everything.
Yeah, so the plan is sell the camper or rent it out. If we can rent it out, make like a decent rental income. I'm just hoping enough to make like the payment. So, but being a toy hauler, I'm hoping it'll be popular. There's sites like RV Share, Outdoorsy. They do those. They're like they list them for you, and they have like their own insurance and everything. So I'm sure they keep a cut of it. But kind of a cool idea there. Otherwise, sell it if and when we can. But the idea is motorhome and trailer, and then the van.
Yeah.
Now my truck we'll keep it, because I love my truck. We'll have it while we're in Ohio, but most likely when we head down to Florida, we'll just store it for the wintertime inside up here somewhere. We got to figure that out still, but otherwise this is the direction we wanted to go in. So it just happened to work out a little bit sooner than we expected. Maybe not in the way we expected.
Yeah, not at all.
But really excited about it otherwise. Nellie and Ember is our kitty, seem to like the extra space. I love the extra space.
Yeah, it's nice. We're not like stepping over each other and everything. The way our toy hauler is, for anyone that has one, they understand, and for people that don't have one, the dinette's at the back end of it, and we had so much stuff in there we couldn't fold both benches down there, so we were just using the bench seat on one side and the table. So pretty much any time that one of us, if you were mainly on the inside, would need to get out, for the most part, I would just pretty much have to stand up every time. Or if
Yeah,
you needed,
and move. Yeah.
So, I mean, not the biggest deal, but after, like, especially like on a rainy day where we're just stuck in there, is like after getting up like 20 or 30 times.
Again, because I have to pee every hour.
Yeah. It kind of got old. So, yeah, it's super nice to have the extra space, and kind of feel spoiled having all this extra space now, but it's going to be awesome going forward, especially because we're like living in it all the time.
I know. And ultimately, again, just kind of going back to the decisions, the thought process behind making this move. And it's funny, since we've done it and kind of talked about it, a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, multiple people have said to me, be it on Facebook, in person, oh, you guys are, living the dream. Like, I love seeing it or whatever. And I remind people, I'm like, thanks. Like, we're really trying. I was like, it doesn't come without its challenges. Like, we've had plenty of stressful days and things. And, but ultimately the reason behind this decision is so we can pursue building a business, working for ourselves full time. And that's not to say that we won't have little part-time jobs here and there. Like, you went and worked, my sister owns a flower shop and we're close to there right now. You went and worked for her the other day to make some money, or odds and ends jobs, still, on the bike training and things like that. Just to bring an extra income. I'm looking at potentially, personal training in person at a gym, again, to bring an extra income. But having the ability to be where we want to be when we want to be there and not stuck to someone else's confines. I don't want to be stuck to Ohio in the wintertime if I don't want to be here. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, once I retire, I'll do that. I don't know if and when I'm going to get to retire. The way the world is, like, I'm not going to wait until one day and hope that I get to do the things I want to do. I'm going to figure out how to do them right now.
Yeah, or even be able to do it once you retire.
That's the other thing. So many people get to that age and they're either forced into retirement because of their health or, I mean, we don't even know if we're going to wake up tomorrow. I'm not going to wait to go after the things that I want, even if that means taking a step back, selling the big house, having less things, maybe doing a little bit less from time to time. I'm not, I would rather give those things up and be able to pursue this dream that we have. And yes, motocross is a big part of it. Absolutely. Like, I love riding. I love racing. But it's, and I actually asked you this too. My big thing is, what is your why? And I spent some time down in Florida trying to figure out why. Why are we doing this? What is my why? And when it finally came to me that I want the freedom to be where I want to be when I want to be. I don't mind hard work at all. But I want the freedom to be where I want to be when I want to be there. Be it with family, be it in Florida, be it in Tennessee or Michigan. I don't want someone telling me that I can or can't. It's my life. So, like, I asked you that a couple times too. I was like, why? Why do you want to do this? And I know that's something like you've struggled with a little bit at times to answer too.
Yeah, it is. It's a I don't know, I call it a weighted question. It is hard to answer sometimes. And I don't know. A big part of I've traveled a lot when I was younger, and I always had that urge to still travel a lot like that. And, even if that meant sacrifices like living in a motorhome and not having a set place to go to all the time and all that, or like you said, not always getting, times it might be hard and we might not be able to afford to do everything or whatever. But, if that means like, hey, like, we can't do this that much this week, but hey, we're in Michigan or something because we decided to come up here for 2 weeks. All right, cool, whatever. Like, I'd rather do stuff like that and be able to experience instead of being stuck to one place and stuck to one job all the time.
Tied down by things.
Yeah.
I found that the more things and that's kind of been a cool process to what we've done too, is the downsizing, the getting rid of things we don't need. We tend to live so much in excess. Really downsizing and getting rid of what I would almost call is like the baggage, the stuff that, like, it's almost like we all buy extra things and because we're not happy. So, like, we go shopping for clothes, we buy another motorcycle, we buy this and that and that. And everyone's house is so full of shit.
Yeah.
Us
our
included.
house was so full of shit.
Yeah.
When we were cleaning that place out, it's like, oh my God, why do we have all
right?
of this?
I haven't seen this since we moved in here. Why is it still here? So, like, yeah, it's been really nice to downsize. Bless you. It's been really nice to downsize and, again, just kind of really, like, even when we're shopping, it's like, if I don't need it, I don't buy it because I don't have room for it, unless it's yarn. I always have room for yarn, and I make them into things to give away, so there's always room for yarn.
That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't start piling up in the corner.
No, it doesn't. I use it. But anyways, that would be the biggest thing. And I think too, like, people saying like, oh, you're living the dream. Like, I want more people to realize, like, it's only a dream until you make it a reality. This wasn't easy for us to do.
No.
I mean, the stuff that we just talked about, that's only like scratching the surface of the hard stuff that we've had to do. Like, no one was there that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday when we were super stressed trying to get out of the house and running out of time. No one was there when we got to Florida for the first couple days and it was raining and we're stuck in a camper and can't hardly move because there's too much crap. You know what I mean? Like, it seems all grand, and I'm not saying it's not. Like, it's life. Life is meant to be an adventure that you should live. And every experience collectively is what makes us who we are, good, bad, difficult, easy, all of the things. Like, you need them all. But I don't want people to think this was easy for us just because we don't have kids, just because we make good money, just because whatever excuse you want to throw at us to say, well, you guys could do that but I can't because of this. We had all of those. We just chose to say, screw that. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Right.
And sometimes you got to do that. Like, that's one thing I said, like, sometimes you just have to jump, figure it out. And that's what we've been doing. And it's stressful at times.
Put your back up against the wall and go for it.
That's where we're at now, especially with the business. Like, I'll figure it out. Or, I mean, worst case scenario, I'm not gonna end up living in a box. Like, okay, so if this doesn't work out the way we hope, I'll get another job. Like,
right.
I'll try something else again down the road. You just have to be willing to get uncomfortable.
New jobs every day, and there's new houses every day.
Exactly. But you just have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to do something different. Being comfortable is easy.
But it never lets you grow.
Right. And I know I tell you that all the time. So I'm constantly, like, pushing myself, like, if I'm not nervous and scared to death, I'm not doing something right.
Right.
So anyways, like I said, that's been long overdue. There's a lot more adventures to come in this life, and I'm actually looking forward to, like, in the full-time RV life, our lives for sure, but the full-time RV life, I'm actually looking forward to sharing a little bit more about it too, because I don't know, it's a lifestyle that a lot of people
think about, but don't actually do it.
And I'm sure it's interesting for people that, like, know us personally. They're like, oh, now I know someone that's actually done it. Like, maybe it'll light a spark in them to be like, maybe I could actually do that too. And I hope it does. Like, I hope we encourage people to chase their dreams and do unconventional things and be a little crazy once in a while, because if you're not, like, life is really boring.
Yeah. It ain't no fun being normal.
No, we are far
Get out
from
of your
it.
comfort zone.
Yeah.
Do the things you've been wanting to do.
Yeah. I will say.
You can always come back to the norm.
You can. It'll always be there. Like you said, there's always going to be jobs. There's always going to be houses. But I will say it's a lot of fun doing this with someone that I enjoy spending so much time with. So.
Yeah, it'd be hard otherwise.
Yeah, by yourself. I enjoy doing it with you.
Or with someone that you don't overly spending time with.
Yeah, that I wouldn't live in a motorhome with someone like that. But.
Yeah. I'll live with you, but...
No. Yeah, right?
That would be hard.
So
Especially
anyways,
in a motorhome.
Yeah, nowhere to go. But yeah, so really fun one. I knew it was going to be a little bit longer, but a lot of adventures in the last February, March, April. Almost
A short
three months.
period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never a dull
Feels
moment.
long, but hasn't been very long.
Yeah,
So, yeah, now we got the new motorhome, the Class A motorhome, aka the unit, as we've nicknamed it. So,
yeah.
You'll catch us in this or the van somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea, too, is to kind of leave this posted up somewhere, hopefully at a campground. And then the van has a bed and everything in it. We can make coffee and breakfast and everything in there. We did that on purpose so that, like, weekend trips, we'll just take the van, like racing weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a week-long event like Loretta's or Minio's, or when we're going down to Florida to stay for the winter, like this will go. But this is like the living quarters.
Right.
The van.
The homestead.
Yeah. And I also love the van. I'd love to have this wrapped one day, but I also love the graphics on the van. Because people will, like, randomly text or send Snapchats that say, oh, I saw the shred van in this random location today.
Yeah.
Like,
I was in the middle of nowhere and I seen the shred van today.
Yeah, you can't miss us. So
Yeah.
That's always cool too.
The rolling billboard.
One day maybe we'll get this thing wrapped, but that'd be expensive.
That'd be wild.
Not this year.
No, not right now.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, other than that, stay tuned. More RV life, moto life, all the things, adventures.
Whatever we got, we're going to bring it to you.
Yeah. So make sure we have our YouTube channel. We have this podcast. We have, a website now, shredmx.com. So excited that I got that. It's called a domain.
Go check it out. Go check out the website.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel. It's under Ashlee Harris 779.
The Tube.
The Tube.
Yeah. We also have a newsletter if you're not signed up for it. The newsletter is honestly the best place to kind of stay up to date with everything. I put on, like, any clinics we're doing, as well as any, like, coaching specials we're running. There's always, like, a helpful article in there, like educational article from me, whether it's fitness, nutrition, something related.
Riding tip.
From you. There's always a recipe in there. I keep adding to it. Like it's only going to continue to grow, especially now that I have more time to do those things. It's only just beginning.
Yeah.
So
Keep growing and doing more and giving you guys more. That's
yeah.
that's the main goal. Is we're just trying to give back to the riders and the community and everything else.
We were riding Sunday and someone came up to us, and if you're listening to this, like, shout out to you, thank you. Or if you've done this in the past, people come up to us and say, like this gentleman came up and said, hey, like, you know, I get your newsletters, I read every one of them, I really appreciate what you guys are doing, like, it's super helpful. Like, sometimes it was funny because Sunday morning on the way to the track, I was questioning, like, what am I doing? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I even helping people? And then, like, as soon as I'm thinking that way, that will happen, or I'll get a message from someone, whether it's a current client or a past client, that's like, oh, you've helped me so much, or changed my life, or whatever. And I'm like, just when I want to question myself, like, I'm reminded that we just have to keep going.
Just keep pushing.
Yeah. So if there's anything you guys want to learn about, let us know. We're always happy to touch on it. But otherwise, thanks for the support. And like I said, for those of you that come up to us and tell us you appreciate it, like, it truly keeps us going, like, more than you know. So thank you.
Yeah, it is awesome. And it does get you excited, or get me excited, when people come up to us to keep doing this type of stuff and keep putting new things out there, and, you know, sharing our story with you guys. And like you said, hopefully getting people to get out of their shell and do things they've always thought about doing and stuff too. So
Yeah.
so it's yeah, thank you guys for if you're been here for a while listening to these podcasts with us, or if you're new to the show or whatever it may be, thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to us rattle on, and hope you enjoyed this one. There's definitely a lot of a lot going on. And I'm sure there'll be more, but life is always an adventure, and you got to enjoy the ride.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, thanks for listening. See you at the next one.